Hi, everyone. It's Lindsey Baker with Rescue Stories, and I am here today with Kimberly Carroll, who is a coach for changemakers. And you're going to learn what that term means in a minute. I think you probably know it's about activism, but she's going to talk about activism burnout, and she's going to talk about her involvement with the with Animal Justice of Canada and the Toronto Vegetarian Food Bank and some other projects she's working on. You are a dynamo, Kimberly. Thank you so much for being on today.
Stop it. It's so good to be here, Lindsay. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thanks for being on. I'm sure people are going to get so much out of this because you're going to be able to talk about something that's affecting all of us, not just activists, but the stress that we're living in today and ways to mitigate that and to be your best self and to be able to pull your, draw your power into you and all of that great stuff. So we can't wait to hear about it.
Yes.
But why don't we start with your activism? Would you like to start there? So why don't you answer the question, how did you get started in all of this?
Oh my, how far do we go back, Lindsay? So I guess it started with me becoming veg about 25 years ago. And then it took me a little while, but about 10 years later, I eventually, when the internet started, I eventually realized I had to be vegan as well. And I needed to become an activist. So I'll credit, as many people do, I'll credit Earthlings as my, that film made me an activist. I remember I was going into the Toronto animal rights potluck. I'd never been there before. I was with a new boyfriend and I was meeting all his friends for the first time. And we were having a potluck and then they were showing Earthlings. And nobody had seen this movie before. And
was the potluck vegan or?
Yeah, absolutely. Vegan, everything. And then basically within an hour of meeting all his new friends, they saw me as a complete blubbering mess. So luckily everybody else was a blubbering mess too. So, but I walked out of there that night. I just went, that's it. I have to be an activist. I can't just be a vegetarian, and I went vegan at the same time too. So yeah. So then it was just a matter of, I really started off with grassroots activism, like a lot of people, protests, demos, leafleting, all those things, to cut your teeth on. And after a little while, I kind of went, okay, good. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about interacting. I got to know the community really well, but I went, I probably should be using some of my specialized skills to bring to animals. And that's one of the things as a coach for changemakers, I really advocate is, what is your skill? What is your background? What's your character traits that can really bring something to the animals? And I decided, okay, well, I actually was a television host and a producer at the time before I became a coach. And I decided, okay, I know media. And I decided to try and do a subway ad campaign. So a transit ad campaign. And, some folks out there might be familiar with the Why Love One But Eat the Other campaign. It was, it's run in Canada now for 10 years. And it ran as a cross-country campaign. It's run in Singapore and Australia and Germany.
Let's watch it. I have it right here. That's the subway campaign, right?
Yeah.
Because we have the billboard too, but let's watch it.
On Toronto subways right now, there are 1,000 poster-sized ads like this one asking the question, why love one but eat the other? The ad series draws attention to the similarities between the animals in North America we call family and the animals we call dinner. It then exposes the shocking cruelty that Canadian animals raised for food face on today's factory farms and asks people to be compassionate, be vegetarian. This campaign was actually designed and funded by a grassroots group of Canadians, from doctors to students, from photographers to teachers, all concerned about the suffering of the 665 million farmed animals that are killed each year in Canada. And we're also really happy to have the Toronto Vegetarian Association come on board as a supporter. The ads feature a piglet facing a puppy, a chick and a kitten, and a cow facing a dog, and talk about how remarkable these animals that our society often dismisses as just food really are. How mother cows on dairy farms will frantically bellow and search for their babies for days and even weeks after their cows are taken away, or how pigs have intelligence beyond that of a 3-year-old human, or how chickens softly cluck to their chicks before they even hatch, and the chicks inside their shells actually chirp back. These facts are then juxtaposed with photos and descriptions of the nightmarish conditions on Canada's factory farms. Each week, this ad series will be viewed 5.7 million times, and Toronto subway riders are definitely reacting.
Like, it captured my attention, like why love one and eat the other. And I have a dog, so, you know, and I love animals, so I'm thinking, okay. And then I started reading, and honestly, it choked me up. It brought me to tears a little bit, because I'm also a mother, and I have a little girl. And I was reading the one about the cow and how, you know, like when the babies are taken away, how they're, you know, they moan for their children for some time. And it's just, honestly, it was just really, really shocking how they're treated. The day of it, I said, that's it. I'm changing. Like, I've been thinking about it for a long time, and the ad just made it, like, I had to do it. Yeah.
So you gone veg?
Yeah. Completely, yeah.
I love meat, so I'm not sure if I do agree with that entirely.
So what if somebody kills you and start eating? Nobody eats us at the moment, but what if somebody likes it?
It kind of makes me think. So, because I have pets also at home.
Well, I remember that the pig mother sings to the little piglets. That was really cute. I used to see a lot of violent campaign. I mean, they show you violence. They convey the message with violence. But this campaign, it point on a logical argument. It make you a question, an easy question. Why do you love one and eat the other one?
Oh my gosh, when he grabbed that calf away from the mother, I just about lost it. That was just, I mean, I saw it before, but it's shocking.
Yeah, it is.
The cruelty is just shocking.
Yeah, and before this point, because this ad campaign first ran in 2009 in Canada, and we hadn't had any undercover investigations into factory farming in Canada yet. So this was a shock to people. You know, not only the campaign, but then the video. And in those days, it went viral, which wasn't what viral is today, but it went viral, and so it you know,
That's wonderful.
And a really neat thing, Lindsay. So that woman, the blonde woman that was talking about how she just changed overnight, that's Jenny Henry, who now leads an initiative called Nation Rising, which is all about getting meat subsidies canceled. So,
oh wow, that would be wonderful, wouldn't it?
And also Ray Kowalchuk, who is a regular.
Oh, I love Ray. He is an amazing activist.
He said that this campaign was a big reason he went to be an activist.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, so it's got a nice little legacy.
Yeah, that's great. And then what that one gentleman said, that there's so many campaigns that show the violence, but the way that it was, why love one and eat the other? What a great question. And people can't really answer that. When they have to really face up to the truth, they have to admit that it's total hypocrisy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And worse than that, I mean, it's barbaric.
It is, and that's been a question that's, you know, was posed a long time ago. It's been used in different campaigns, but I think just as a subway campaign and having those animals facing each other, and then having, you know, the factory farming reality below it after learning their stories and what, you know, what these animals are like, you know, the personality, the love, the protection, the way, you know, that they take care of each other. It really hits people hard.
Yeah. You know, the one thing that I was thinking about just now is that ag-gag bill. Can you talk about that a little bit, how that's gotten passed and what can be, you know, what can be done about it, that it's actually hiding all these horrific things that people have gone undercover and uncovered, and now the animal agriculture companies are just freaking out and getting with their lobbyists to pass these laws to cover it up again. And what's being done, if anything, and how can people help? I know that's a lot, but it's a big important subject.
So it's been an interesting journey. I helped found Mercy for Animals Canada back a few years ago, and we were the first group that did undercover investigations. And at that point, we thought maybe the industry might start pushing for ag-gag laws like you in the US had about at the same time we were doing investigations. And but it's actually, you know, was the last couple of years of a lot of grassroots initiatives like barn occupations and direct actions that I think really pushed farmers to, you know, to lobby government to have things changed. Also, you know, the animal save vigils, which just made such an impact, have made, you know, have really captured people's hearts and minds. And that's, you know, and on the tail of a lot of undercover investigations, that was it. They went, okay, this is actually damaging us. We need to start lobbying for ag-gag laws. So where it stands right now is governments across Canada are quietly trying to sneak in these laws, which are an incredible threat to farmed animals, an incredible threat to undercover investigations and just to investigative journalism and in general, and whistleblowers, obviously. So one of our provinces, Alberta, first passed the bill in January in record time with no public consultation. And now Ontario, which is Canada's most populous province, the one I'm in Toronto, the bill 156, which is an ag-gag law, has passed but not yet come into effect. We expect that it'll probably come into effect by the end of 2020. Meanwhile, Quebec, another huge province, Manitoba, BC, they're all considering ag-gag laws, and there's sort of talk of a federal ag-gag law being floated around as well. So basically, these laws make it an offense to go undercover, to expose cruelty on farms, to be a whistleblower. So if you're in there and you are, you know, get footage, it's illegal for you to be able to show that. You cannot go into a job under false pretenses. So unless you reveal you're an undercover investigator, it's illegal for you to go into, a farm.
Wow. So you couldn't even bring that footage through like other people helping you undercover, send that through to the news media, because the news media will not be able to play it. Exactly. That is horrific. So is there a movement to stop this or make people aware what's going on and so forth?
Well, and so it's very interesting that over the last few years, while we've been, trying to get the government to actually put some federal and provincial regulations for animal welfare on farms into place, because there are no government regulations for farmed animals. They're still largely exempt from general animal cruelty laws. So instead of changing the system to make things better for animals, they've instead tried to keep us out, tried to keep the public from seeing what's happening. So, undercover investigations is the only way the public can get a glimpse. So with animal justice right now, we're preparing to challenge the constitutionality of the ag-gag laws. We're hoping to get them struck down like you have in various U.S. states like Utah and Idaho, Kansas, North Carolina. In all those states, the ag-gag laws have gotten struck down because of their inconstitutionality. So that's, basically we're waiting for that law to go through and we're going to court.
So this kind of segues us into the next subject, and thank you. That's really good news to hear, and we want to keep updated on that. But apparently animal justice is how you're involved with all of this legislation. Am I correct? Yeah. So I have a couple of videos. Let's watch, and then you can talk about that if that works for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Some people are drawn to animal protection because of an experience with a particular animal. For me, it was caring for all animals, recognizing that they're like us.
Animals, they feel and they think and they play and they love, yet in our society, they are subjected to unimaginable cruelty in factory farms, in laboratories, in breeding facilities.
We kill 800 million farm animals in Canada every year for food. When I consider the sheer number of victims who are living and dying on modern farms, I am so moved to act in the face of that.
I was taught from a very early age that if there's injustice, you have to do something about it. Not somebody else, but you.
Wow. So do you want to talk a little bit about how you got involved with animal justice?
Yeah. So, let me see. So fast tracking a little bit from doing that campaign I was telling you about and doing various advocacy things and being a spokesperson. I mentioned that I helped found Mercy for Animals Canada, and then that led to our own Canadian organization called Animal Justice. And basically, some of the most stellar people I worked with at Mercy for Animals, we went over to Animal Justice and really built that up. So Animal Justice is leads the fight for the legal fight for animals in Canada. We do that through the court of law. We do that through political advocacy and, of course, the court of public opinion. So we do a lot of campaigns that are designed to really start moving society in the direction, give them the awareness, really give them the passion to be able to move laws forward, because unfortunately laws, especially in Canada and I think in the US as well, they don't change easily. They need society to be very, very passionate about them. There has to be a real societal shift before laws really change. So so we've been doing a lot of interesting things over the last few years. We got the captivity of whales and dolphins made illegal in Canada. We've gone after Canada Goose in many ways, false advertising complaints, taking them to court. We are really active in protecting activists, working on getting veganism declared a creed. We have done, we do a lot of media. Like we basically, one of our secret sauces at Animal Justice is any story that we can insert animals into, we are there. So it's a great team. I just love them to death. They're just some of the best people I've worked with in the movement, and I feel really blessed to be able to be a part of it.
I've got a couple more clips. Let's watch a little bit more.
Animal Justice is the only organization in Canada using law and legal skills to protect animals. That allows us to transfer the changing shift in public sentiment to real action and real change in our government, in our legal system, and in our laws.
On one side of the ledger, we see years and decades, really, of advocacy on behalf of the meat industry and the hunting industry. It's really important that we level the playing field, and if it weren't for animal justice, we wouldn't have a hope of doing that.
Animal justice has been hugely helpful to me in being able to make the case in Parliament that we need to do more to protect animals in Canada. Having animal justice supporting the work we do as parliamentarians creates new legal concepts, and that's how laws change.
I think a lot of Canadians don't realize that there aren't laws in some of these areas. That awareness raising is something that sets animal justice apart.
But unfortunately, we do have some of the worst animal protection laws in the Western world.
I believe the shortcomings in our farm animal laws and the way in which we essentially allow owners and industries to have honestly just about carte blanche to do whatever they want to our animals is a complete and utter failing of our legal system.
I have one more clip.
Most
Why don't I just
consider themselves animal lovers? Yet in this country, we subject animals to such incredible cruelty, and most of it's considered legal. And so Animal Justice's biggest job is to bridge that disconnect.
We really have to see cetaceans as our equals, as living beings.
is animals are not prey.
By essentially requiring that adoptable and healthy dogs be put to death because they can't be adopted and licensed.
I rise today to introduce the Modernizing Animal Protections Act, a bill to help
Wow. So how did they get that shot where one guy taking photographs was being photographed?
Yeah, that was that's my friend Jeff Regier, who's been an incredible undercover investigator for many years, and he's no longer doing undercover in the classic sense, but he is just so dedicated to doing activism in so many different ways. So yeah, so it was a vigil where they were, witness, and basically there's a lot of shenanigans going on in that alleyway in BC, where they are trying to get documentation of what's happening with these chickens, and the corporation is trying to do everything to keep them off of public property, including getting the public property to be zoned as private property. So yeah, it's amazing what the industry will go, what lengths the industry will go to.
Oh, I've seen it in the horse racing industry and what they've done when the protesters, I followed that for over a year, horse racing at Santa Anita and the other tracks in California. And yeah, they even blocked off so they tried to get them not able to even walk on the sidewalk around where they were protesting by the gate. And it was really, and then they kept moving the meetings further and further away to different towns and as far as possible so people couldn't attend. So that's so typical, isn't it?
Well, and that's going back to this ag bill in Ontario. I mean, it's not just about undercover investigations or trespassing. It's also specifically targeting the animal save vigils by saying that there is an industry zone in transport that they're not going to let people get. So basically, anywhere there's a truck, anywhere there's a slaughterhouse, there has to be a certain amount of space. So basically, it effectively takes out animal save vigils, and that they were purposely targeting that. They were purposely trying to shut down the vigils.
It does appear to be. And then with the unfortunate death of Regan Russell and I understand you were there. How if you don't mind, just talking for a little bit about, how you felt, what you saw.
Yeah. So I came after just after it happened. We got the call, at Animal Justice, and we knew we needed to get down there to sort of help figure out what to do next. And I mean,
were you in shock when you got that call? It must have been shocking.
When I heard, first of all, I heard an activist was killed at a vigil, and then the more details I got, who it was, how it happened, the more my heart just sank. And then in the net preceding, the days following, I definitely, met her family and found out that one of my really good friends was her best friend, and I didn't even know, things like that. I'd only met Regan once, so I wasn't close to her, but all you needed to meet her was once to know how full of grace and how smart she was, and just how articulate she was. And so it's, just such a loss for the community. It's very, eerie that it happened within 2 days of the ag bill being passed. We worry that that the bill being passed will embolden the industry to, get rougher and harsher, more dangerous with activists. So that was, we didn't think it was going to happen so quickly. Of course, we don't know all, the police haven't really the details about it. So,
right. So
I can't,
can't speculate. Yeah.
can't speculate about that, but that is something. It's interesting. One of the MPs that was involved in the ag-gag hearings had said, that was against the ag-gag bill, had said, my big concern is how aggressive the industry is going to get towards, activists, and what about the families of those who lose, activists, their activist family, and it was just like, whoa, that was such an interesting kind of thing. Yeah. So, I definitely, it's been amazing to see how the community has risen up to make sure that Reagan has not died in vain. I think the community will have made her proud. She will, have been proud of everything, of all the efforts, and just the it doesn't stop. Like we're just keeping on going, keeping on building, doing everything we can to make, bring up the level of awareness in her name. And it's been interesting for me also as a coach, kind of watching this situation, because I know for me, just seeing somebody who is just like me, in the way that I'm passionate for animals, not wanting to cause harm, just being, because there's so much love in your heart that you can't not be there. And for her to, get killed so instantly and so violently.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really, it hits a person. I don't think there's any activist that it doesn't hit. And I am a little worried about the community in the way that, not maybe properly grieving this, or not knowing what to do with the sorrow, or not knowing what to do with the angers, which is often what happens with us in animal activism is the above, but this really brings it home.
Well, we're going to talk about your coaching in just a moment, but I have a couple more little videos here about the subway campaign. One is with Okeem, and one is another subway. Were those two? I think those were two separate campaigns.
Yeah, Lindsey, this is like, this is your life. I'm like seeing all these.
Well, I want people to get a really good, clear picture of your activism, so that they know that you're coming from the same standpoint that the rest of us are, and dealing with, having dealt with what many of us feel like we're doing all of this and nothing's changing, nothing's happening, injustices over and over and over. So it's good to show that. So let's watch the next one real quick.
On Toronto subways right now, there are 1,000 poster-sized ads like this one.
I think we saw that one. Is it the billboard one that we didn't see?
Yeah. Do you want me to give you a little one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. I keep pushing the button. Go ahead.
No problem. Trigger happy. So this billboard campaign was one of my babies. We decided that we were going, we developed something called the Animal Charter, which is basically a charter for animal rights in Canada. And we really, not that we expect the government to implement it anytime soon, but we wanted an ideal. We wanted something to, move towards, something to rally the public around. And so this billboard campaign was created in order to help raise awareness about the Animal Charter, and just to really bring light to the major areas of animal exploitation. So this is the biggest animal protection billboard campaign in Canada. You'll see in a second where and how many it is.
Okay, now this is going on right now, or this?
No, this was
a while ago. Okay, and then you'll tell us about what happened afterward.
Something like that in public. It makes me feel really sad.
It definitely caught my eye. I am a bacon eater.
It's not just necessarily a pretty idea or something that's easy to talk about, but it does need to be brought to life.
As much as I'm not a vegetarian or anything, this isn't, a terribly gruesome thing, but it does, evoke that sadness about it. There is a sadness about the way we treat animals.
don't like looking at it. It's not nice to look at. It's hard to imagine what they're going through.
Very effective. It is very effective. I think we forget sometimes how sensitive animals are, and you know, I mean, it is a reminder to see them that way. I mean, obviously, I was not a happy monkey. Just because it's being done doesn't mean it's okay.
Wow. So much abuse everywhere. I don't know if this is a question you may not be able to answer, but do you see where those animals were trapped? Do you happen to know if they were rescued from there, or was that footage that was, I don't know if you know that or where you got it.
I imagine that was, I mean, most of that was undercover footage, and unfortunately with undercover investigations, you know, I mean, very, very once in a while, you know, there is an animal that's brought out, but for most undercover investigators, which is one of the hardest parts about that job, they have to leave them all behind, knowing that that the images they capture, you know, hopefully will save millions of animals.
Right. I was thinking of the one with the bobcat and the coyote, but I think those are from campaigns or something. So no, we really don't know for sure, but hopefully. If someone's there photographing it, they also managed to, because, you know, they're left there to die, to starve. So if you came upon them, you would think people would rescue.
Absolutely. I think, you know, a lot of them, a lot of the trapping ones were taken through trapping tours. So they're with the trappers. What, Mommy? They would blow their, you know, their cover to grab an animal.
Oh my God, you have to have such courage and fortitude and strength to do that. I could never do that.
I've always said there's no way you know, if I was undercover, if in the first 5 minutes I'd be grabbing all the animals I can and going, run, you know, there's just no way I wouldn't be able to do it. And I so respect, I actually as a coach work with some undercover investigators, helping them through it and helping them afterwards. I have the utmost respect. I can't imagine a harder job, especially for somebody who gets into it because they love animals, and then to have to go into the most abusive situation you could, you know, most sorrowful, abusive situation you could ever imagine for animals. It's
Well, the thing is, I think that's what, you know, most activists tell themselves and have to learn, that the more that you can't think about yourself. Oh, Geeta. I was Wildlife SOS. She's one of the founders. She was saying to me that when she was a young girl, her mother told her that if you're going to do this now, you're going to have to strengthen up for and she found the resolve to go into some horrible situations.
Yeah, she's incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's wonderful.
Yeah, what a powerhouse.
Yes. We'll talk about that in a moment, powerhouses. But we have one more clip. Okeem and the subway campaign you want to set that one up?
Sure. So this was just last fall. Okeem was in Toronto for the Toronto International Film Festival, and Anita Krines from Animal Save knows Okeem, and he is a big Animal Save fan. He goes to vigils in LA, and there was a new animal rights ad campaign that was running in one subway, just a blanket campaign, covers everything. And so she asked, would he lend his presence to it? So he was like, I'll show up. I'm not going to talk much, but I'm going to show up. And so Anita just asked if I would guide him around the subway station because she knows that I'm a good talker.
Oh, well, that's
I didn't
so
get to talk
fun.
much because we got just completely overrun by a crowd and paparazzi and all that sort of thing.
Well, he's at a lot of events. I've seen him at Pig Save. I've seen him at NARD, and he's always really quiet, but very nice. I think I've talked to him once or twice, you know, just a couple of words. He's sweet and very shy. I think he's.
Yeah. Oh, he's very shy, but when when you recognize how shy he is and how like just soft he is, like I think naturally, and then you think about what he did at the Oscars and that like how much guts that
How
took.
he was nervous. You could tell a little.
Oh my God, I was so nervous for him. I'm like,
I
oh,
know.
God, he's gonna do it. He's actually gonna say it. And in that moment, I cried. I was just like, somebody said it on this global medium, like somebody actually said it, you know, and it was, oh God, even if other people didn't get it, I think just for activists.
Oh no, I think every activist out there was cheering. I was cheering. All my friends were texting. Everybody in LA just went crazy when he did it. That was like a really big moment.
Oh, he
felt very triumphant.
We love him. We love him.
Yeah. So I guess we should start now to talk a little bit about what you do and your coaching. And let's see, I've got one here about the coach. I want to find the one. Okay, maybe just start with talking about who is a change maker so people know about that, or however you want to come into it.
Yeah, so I work with basically those who are wanting to make a bigger difference in the world, and that a lot of those people are activists. They could be social entrepreneurs, they could be healers, they could be leaders, community organizers. I mean, basically, I consider a change maker anybody who is making a concerted effort to make the world a little bit a better place.
Right.
And when one is trying to make the world a better place, they tend to have to go against the status quo quite a bit. And so in order to do that in our pack mentality sort of society, one has to be, just like you were saying about Gita, one has to be really strong. I have to be really empowered. And so for me, as an activist over the years, I had to do the work to make me as empowered as possible as an activist, or I was going to collapse under the weight of it. I drowned in the sorrow or be burnt up by the rage. And I recognized that wasn't a powerful place to work for animals from. And so I needed to figure out how to better empower myself as an activist. And as I did, I was a coach at the time, doing just sort of body, mind, spirit coaching. But because I was an activist, I was getting a lot of activists coming to me. So I was having, to start teaching other people this. So I really got to see how when people have the right tools, and they really take care of themselves, and they get really clear and centered in themselves, just how much more powerful and sustainable their work as an activist can be.
I've got one slide here. Let me show from your website. Yeah. And this is where people can actually get go and watch, have free access to a series of videos. Is that correct?
Yeah. It's a 5-part video series, free training. I just really wanted to put out there a really sort of quick and dirty, but it's still pretty powerful little course that anybody can just download and watch. I dole it out, one video every 2 days, so you have a bit of a chance, because there's action steps, there's exercises, there's tools. Lindsay, I'm not about just talking about stuff. I'm really about hands-on, visceral. What do we do in this moment? What's the action we need to take? How do we deal with this? What are the tips and tools that I like to give people a tool belt. So that's what the Power Tools for Changemakers is all about. So we do everything from productivity tips. How do we get more effective? How do we get more done? How do we, avoid getting so overwhelmed and paralyzed by this mountain that we have to climb, really, especially animal rights. Also, how to process pain, the pain that is inherent in being an animal activist or any kind of activist usually. I also work with bridge building and how to be more persuasive, how to not alienate people, but draw them in, inspire people to change, because we can't just be, on our own little island saying, oh, we're vegan and we're so good. We want the whole world to be vegan.
We are.
Sure we are. We're so good. We have to get the whole world to be vegan. That's the only way it works, right?
Yeah.
And so talking about how do you approach this work from a place of bridge building as opposed to warring, fighting. So lots of goodies. Anybody that's interested in just getting a few more, skills, a few more tools, please download it. And
let me just type in the comments so people, let me just read off to me literally the website.
Yeah. If you go to KimberlyCarroll.com, so KIMBERLY, and then Carroll is CARROLL.com. You go there, you'll see it.
Yeah, I just put that in, and that should put a link.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because, Lindsay.
If it doesn't, I can add it later. We usually add them afterwards. I'm not sure why it's not letting me add it.
Yeah.
But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, as animal advocates, it's kind of a dangerous cocktail, because a lot of us are drawn to doing this work for animals because we have such compassionate hearts, because we have experienced some sort of powerlessness in our life that really has draws us into some of the most powerless beings in our world. And then what happens is these sort of tender hearts and compassionate, hearts are exposed to all sorts of graphic images.
Yes.
Information that's just devastating on a regular basis. Criticism from people, alienation from society.
Can you give a quick tip to our people about how to process pain or any of these? Can you kind of give a quick tool tip?
Absolutely. Yeah, sure. So, it's very natural to feel pain. It's very natural to feel anger and sorrow. But if you stay steeped in it, you're not going to be able to do anything effective. And if you push it down, it's going to come out in very unfortunate ways. So one of the things I really like to do is I kind of like to purge. Okay, so purge it. So one little exercise I do every day is called the mind dump. And basically, it's pen to paper for 5 minutes, and you just write out everything that's happening for you, the good, the bad, the ugly, the mundane, and you just write it out. But especially if you're feeling specific pain that's feeling overwhelming, just write it out, get it out of your head and onto the piece of paper. And then if you want to go even further, then you add some movement to it. Okay, so I love something I call the conscious temper tantrum. Okay, how kids, when they're upset, they'll just drop to the floor in the grocery store and go, ah! And then they're good. They jump up and they want licorice.
They're in the moment.
Yeah, exactly. We as adults, we need to be able to release like that. So I'm a big fan of putting on some music that amplifies your mood, whether it's rage or whether it's sorrow, putting on some music and just getting it out there, and then just moving in it, feeling it, like letting yourself, sort of surrender to it, and then moving it out in some way, shaking it out, stomping it out, hitting it out, whatever you need to do. But those strong emotions, they take up residence in your body.
Absolutely.
Right? And if you don't move those sensations, if you don't deal with them, they're going to turn into some really insidious things like depression.
It can turn into illness and so forth.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I have a technique that I just learned from an individual that teaches, what is it? I'm trying to think of it. It's a martial arts technique. Yes, the chi energy, the energy force. and you roll like you do when you were a child. You get on the grass or anywhere where there's a clean surface, and you just roll back and forth. You roll one way and roll back. And I did it. And what it does is it helps expand your energy. I actually did not feel tired today at all. It didn't make a difference. I tried it today for the first time. So I love all those kind of techniques. And I do a lot of meditation and I've been into that and spirituality for years. So we have a lot in common, I'm sure. I think a lot of animal rights activists, part of that, what comes out of that, most are very empathetic and they're intuitive. And it just introspective as well. And just all those qualities, I think, kind of draw the same kind of interest. So
yeah, absolutely. And you can't have all of that weight on your shoulders, or you're not going to be able to do the long marathon for animals. You got to get rid of some of the weight once in a while. And that's another thing that, you know, I'll just mention a real tool that I think is important, Lindsey.
Yeah, please. Like the first one was great.
Well, we were talking about graphic images, right? And social media is one of those places for an animal activist that can it can kill you. You know, like you come on and all of a sudden, boom, there's this image and that story and, you know, and everything. And so I don't want you to leave social media. Social media is an incredibly powerful platform if you use it properly. But I think it's so important that people limit when they look at the hard stuff. Okay. Like I basically have one time a week where I sort of collect stuff. I'll save the post and I won't look at it. And then when I'm really concentrating, like I'm really being deliberate, I'm grounded, I feel safe, then I will go in and I will look at the stuff. Okay. When I'm ready, don't let it sort of attack you. Don't let it become a barrage when you're not ready for it. Like a lot of people, Lindsey, they'll wake up first thing in the morning and they on their phone and social media. And it's like wandering on the street first thing when you wake up in your pajamas, you know, and cars going by. It's you're too open, you're too vulnerable. I believe that we do need to watch these things. I believe we need to see suffering. I believe it can motivate us, it can inform us, but we need to do it in a way that is a little safer, that allows you to take it in, to grieve it, to fully be in it, and then to move through it.
Yeah, I have the opposite problem because doing these shows, I have no choice. I have to look at it. But even though I agree, I will set up times when I feel strong enough. Certain times of the day are better for me to do it than others because it can really, like sometimes I'll just dread having to go through the material that of the person I'm going to interview, but yet I want to do the interview. So I've been working on toughening myself up as well.
Yeah. And maybe just, you know, even, you know, because you do meditation, just to do a little bit of meditation to just sort of connect to the newness of everything before you head into that, you know. There's a meditation, a visualization that I do with some of my coachees and some groups, and when I do sort of talks, and I won't take you through the meditation, but it's something that you could practice, and that is, if there is an image that has really stayed with you and really weighed on your heart, and it's, you know, a lot of people get quite sickened and they just can't shake it. Just this idea of really connecting to that being, to that animal, to that situation, almost like envisioning, you know, being able to free that animal. Okay. Like you asked Lindsey if any of those animals in those videos had been rescued, probably not. But in order to be able to just, you know, be able to clear and move on, and have your love intact for the animals that are still alive, we do need to find some peace. So to be able to almost envision them in that really terrible situation, and whether you envision yourself grabbing them and running, or tearing the ceiling off of the place and freeing them all, or, you know, escorting them into, you know, this sort of dissolving into the universe, whatever works for you. But be able to bring the love and kindness that you wish you could have brought to them in real life. And that can also not just be an image, that can be an experience you've had with an animal, that's, you know, with you. I know it sounds a little cheesy, but I've seen it be really powerful.
No, I agree. In fact, I think that's setting an intention. And in fact, for me, one thing that I would do is go by Colonel Saunders and some of these other places and see the word vegan. And sure enough, now we're seeing them. So you setting these intentions and putting that out out there, I do believe if enough people have a certain mindset, it does. We are all one consciousness. At least that's what, this is my own personal beliefs, but I think it all ties together.
Yeah, it's a very Buddhist Eastern way of looking at things, right? And so it's a lot of people will say, well, I need to be in the pain, I need to be in the anger. It's what motivates me. It will only motivate you for so long, and then it causes you cancer, or it causes you an anxiety disorder, or whatever. Like, you can't live on anger, you can't live on sorrow. You've got to find ways to be able to empower yourself, to embolden yourself. And so so it's sometimes people are like, I can't give up my anger. Well, for the animals, you need to find a way to turn that anger into passion, and you need to find a way to be able to, even when you stand boldly and loudly and you oppose something, you do it still with some love in your heart, some love in your heart, knowing that the people that are opposing you, they don't know any better. I mean, if they do better, they would have done better. They obviously weren't raised that way. They were, given the different information. They're not capable of the compassion. That's the way I look at my opposition. I try not to hate them. Sometimes they piss me off, but I try not to hate them, because I believe that everybody's doing the best they can with what they know, what the level of consciousness they're at. And I also believe that everybody has the potential to be an ally. So I really try to approach with everybody with that sort of idea that
maybe not right away, but you can get the wheels turning in their mind, and it does make a difference. And I think sometimes when people, even when you have these conversations with people that are really, well, I like my meat and so forth, when they walk away, they think about it and it works on them later, because most people are kind. Most people are humane, I think. It's just like you say, the way they've been raised, or the misinformation, and some people, even like when you see Pagan in Asia with the elephants and so forth, Pagan rather, where they torture them. That's because these people are so desperate. They're in these desperate situations. So you have to look at the whole picture. I totally agree with what you're saying.
Absolutely. And I believe that those that abuse animals here are also desperate in other ways. It might not be financially, but it might be desperate for consumption. It might be desperate. There's a fear of changing, of going against what they were taught. There's always fear and pain that motivates, bad behavior like that. Yeah. That's the way it is. So, so I think it's very important if you can find a way to find some common ground. I heard something, Lindsey, at a conference one time, about an animal rights conference, and they said that a person needs to hear a message at least 21 times before they will actually take real action on it. So I always think, okay, if somebody's just being a total a-hole, I think maybe I'm just the first or the second.
Well, maybe you are the 20th, and it's just like that slot machine. You got to put that last quarter in.
So I'm just going to keep laying the groundwork with my fellow activists. I'm just going to keep laying the groundwork of this love, this truth, this, of just this awesomeness that is compassionate living.
Yeah. We have a couple more things to show, your food bank, and then we only have 8 minutes left. Okay. Let's show the food bank, and then I'll let you wrap up with whatever you want to talk about if people want to reach you or so forth.
Sure.
Okay, so you want to take this one and just tell us a little bit?
Sure. So one of my other loves is helping my partner Matt Noble run the Toronto Vegetarian Food Bank, which we've been running for I think 6 years now. And we did this project as an intersectional kind of initiative. We wanted to show that you can help people without harming animals. So all of our food is vegan. So we basically say we provide cruelty-free, environmentally conscious and healthy food for those who are in need. And so also, a lot of food banks just do not have food for vegans and vegetarians. So we want to be able to give vegetarians, vegans, and those who are wanting to transition to a veg diet an opportunity. We feel like those that are most down on their luck, that are really suffering the most in society, shouldn't have to give up their deepest held beliefs just so that they can eat. So
Yeah.
I wanted to give people a choice. And it's just been a wonderful experience to be able to bring people into, sort of the veg fold in a really gentle way. Because people are like, wow, of course I want to help people and I get to help animals. This is amazing. And we've gotten to, meet so many beautiful people and it's been a lot more challenging during the pandemic, but we've been managing to get our groceries to, whatever our 300 families every time. And
so you deliver?
Yeah, we were delivering during the pandemic. So
so
we've got quite the assembly line, and a lot of wonderful volunteer drivers right now. And yeah, it's been good.
Do you think that it's cheaper in the long run to provide for people in need with vegan food? Do you think if you're buying in mass, is it not cheaper?
Absolutely. I mean, they call it
feed more people, right?
They call the vegan diet the pauper's diet. I mean, if you're not wanting to buy Beyond Meat and everything, if you're sticking with a whole foods diet like lentils and various pulses and tofu and rice and soy milk and all the produce and and fruits and veggies, it's actually a really reasonable diet, and we've been able to feed people an unbelievable amount on very little money. It's been quite tremendous to see.
And so if people want to donate, they will find that their money goes quite far. So what is that site? I think we'll just add the links afterwards. Let's just do that. We'll do that. Yeah. We'll be putting up links. We got about 5 minutes left, so I'm going to turn the camera on you completely. And why don't you just, for the next 5 minutes, whatever you want to share.
Well, one of the things, and you might have me back to talk about this a little bit more, but
sure.
I just wanted to mention this. My current exciting project is the Animal Justice Academy. So Animal Justice, we, do various campaigns throughout the year, and we get thousands of people, writing letters and signing petitions. But we were really thinking, how do we take those thousands of people that, care about animals and want to help but don't know where to start? How do we turn them into advocates? How do we turn them into activists? So the Animal Justice Academy is going to be a free 6-week online training boot camp and community movement to help turn animal lovers into informed, empowered, consistent, and effective action-taking champions for animals. It's not just for beginners. It's also for activists that have been at it for a long time that just want to, up their skills and get even more connected, make their activism even more impactful. So I'm really excited about it. It's going to run starting in January. And if anybody is interested in it, you can just go to the Animal Justice website, which is animaljustice.ca. Subscribe to our mailing list and you'll get notifications of when that's starting. But it's going to be an event, Lindsay. Like we're gonna be doing all sorts of video modules throughout the week, live panels, live Q&As, breakout groups, actions. We're going to be doing mass actions that people from every different corner of, the country and the world and different backgrounds and different ages, like we're all going to sort of come together to push a particular initiative, which is going to be really exciting.
Now, will this be mostly online right now because of COVID? Will this effort be on? Oh, perfect. So we can all participate here in the U.S. too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's open to everybody, and we just want to get this sort of groundswell of people. It's going to be basically empowering people to create a better world for animals via politics, through media, through the legal system, through veganism, through corporate outreach, within their own communities and social circles. We're going to cover all the areas.
That sounds so empowering.
Yeah. So I don't think there's ever been quite a comprehensive course like this. I mean, there's been amazing things happening and so many great conferences, but I really wanted to have an initiative where over 6 weeks, people delve in and they really, become community and they get swept up in sort of this idea of action and are equipped with all the tools. So I'm really excited about it.
So will it be through Facebook that they will connect and be able to communicate?
Yeah.
There'll be a Facebook effort, like an event?
We'll have an online, like a lot of our presentations will be live. And so people will be able to be on the platform live with us. But we'll also be feeding everything through a private Facebook group. There'll be all sorts of initiatives through our private Facebook group. So it's going to be this little hive of activity and planning. And I believe, like I said at the beginning, everybody needs to find their particular corner of the world and the way to change it, according to who they are and according to what, brings them alive. So I want to see, artists put to use, in the best way possible for animal advocacy. I want to see those that are charismatic start doing videos. I want to see those that are designers, really putting out amazing images, all sort of going towards this one particular initiative that may or may not have to do with ag gag.
Wow, that would be great. I would definitely like to participate. And I will have you back on when you think it's best strategically so that we can get as many people aware, because I'm sure people are going to really want this. These are tools to use. Not only is it going to help with this effort, and we don't know what the exact topic is yet, but we'll find out.
Yeah.
But not only that it's going to help with this effort, but it's going to be amazing tools for you to use on your own. And I think everyone should take your course.
Yeah.
It is actually 6 and we have to run. So, but just give some information quickly, how people can get the course and all of that.
Yeah.
If you could.
Animaljustice.ca, and just subscribe to our newsletter, and you'll get a heads up as soon as the course opens for enrollment.
And if people want to get in touch with you for coaching or try the 5 videos.
Yeah, and that's at kimberlycarroll.com. Just drop in there or say hi to me on Facebook. I'd love to chat.
You have a wonderful Facebook group. I really was looking at some of your videos, so everyone should check it out.
Yeah, that's Kimberly Carroll, a Coach for Changemakers. That's my page.
Okay, terrific, Kimberly. It was so nice having you here today,
talk to you,
this
Lindsey.
evening.
You.
Yeah, great talking to you, and I'm sure I'll have you back soon, and we'll cover this other campaign you're doing, and I'll probably see you a lot more. So that'll be wonderful.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Kisses
If
to
you're
everyone
willing, of
there.
course. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for coming on, and you'll be in touch from there. Okay, great.
Okay.
Say hi to Ray if you see him for me.
I will. I'll give him a big hug. Oh, I can't give him a big hug.
Right. Thank him a big hug.
I'll give him a big virtual hug, but you can do that.
Okay. Bye-bye, everyone. Thanks for watching. Come back next week. And Saturday, remember, I'm on at 10 in the morning. Tuesdays at 5. Catch you later.